What is going on, guys? What is going on? Welcome to the Four Horsemen podcast. We got Karlos, Gil, and Jack next to me. I am hosting today, Nick, and guys, it's Halloween this weekend.
Ooh. Thank you.
Thank you, Karlos. I appreciated that sound effect there. Guys, what are you guys doing for Halloween? And what's going on? What's the costumes looking like?
Somebody get me a beer. I'm going off.
Oh yeah? Let's hear it.
Oh, I think it's just back-to-back parties. I'm just one day.
Yeah?
I'm just gonna try to like recycle the same costume for 2 days in a row, or I'm gonna have to buy something off the cuff. Like I think I'm just gonna do like Luka Doncic for one day, and then I'll have my Toon Squad jersey for the next one. I'll see what happens.
Nice.
It's totally not spooky.
Yeah.
My friends and I had a joke that we might wear because the video game Among Us had costumes out, and it would be the funniest thing ever to like dress in this big inflatable thing, but it looks so stupid.
You can even do like the Squid Game guys.
Oh
like,
my God, that'd be
you know they're
genius.
all coming out there this year. I'm trying to be Jimmy Neutron. So I got the long hair. I got the shirt. I just got it in the other day. It's gonna be great. I got a couple other buddies doing Sheen.
Brother, you gotta go full send. Shave your face.
Oh,
Build a robot.
No shot.
Build a robot dog.
Oh, actually, I have a little dog, a Bichon Poodle named Belle. I'm gonna put her up in tinfoil and just like take a picture next to her. It'll be great.
Also, we should be the bearded horsemen. We all have facial hair.
Yeah,
we missed
honestly,
a trick there. I don't know why we didn't do that. Also, can I just say, Halloween is the most overrated
Really?
holiday
Yeah,
I hate Halloween.
It's one of my favorites.
No, this is a hot take.
And I think this is a hot take, but I think anyone who's listening to this that is also not from America just completely agrees. Like they just hate Halloween. It's just Halloween. You dress up when you're young, and then like as you get older, it's just like.
It's just another excuse to get drunk.
Yeah,
It's another excuse to get plastered
Maybe,
here.
but I just can't stand Halloween. I never dress up. I'm
love
just a
St.
Scrooge.
Patrick's Day.
I'm a Scrooge of Halloween. Yeah, well, St. Patrick's Day is fun, right?
It's one of my favorite holidays. It's the day right before my birthday, so I'm always. It's
Oh,
always
so
a
you
good
got
time.
you got another reason to go crazy.
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So it's always going to be a good weekend. But let's get into it, guys. First up on the agenda, let's talk about injuries from last week. Gil, who are you looking at? It's gonna make a huge impact.
This really freaking killed me. Devontae Adams has got COVID.
Yep.
And this would require therapy. But the problem is he's on the COVID list. They just threw Alan Lazard on the COVID list as well. But Devontae Adams actually has COVID. We're on Tuesday right now. They play Thursday against the Cardinals, and I'm worried because I want him to play. He probably won't, given the circumstances of a short week. And since he is vaccinated, he's gonna have to report 2 negative tests within 24 hours to game time, which I don't think he'll get in time if he even gets the first one off. But so like owners that have Devontae Adams, I would look elsewhere to put into that wide receiver 1 spot. It's a tough blow, honestly, because this man's floor is ridiculous. And on top of that, there's more. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has a hamstring issue, and he's just been pulled to the IR. He could return. He could return.
Yeah, he could return. So that could be interesting. I still don't think I want to play those guys in that matchup anyway, because Arizona have looked legit as well, right? So I think like in terms of fantasy, it's tough to play like MVS, and I guess the other person is Randall Cobb. Right,
maybe Robert Tunyon?
Robert Tunyon.
Tunyon could be.
I would take a flyer on him because I actually think
I
think Arizona's going to go up early, so Green Bay's going to be forced to throw.
So I wouldn't. I mean, I would like Aaron Jones because he's still got some guaranteed floor.
That's a matchup that scares me. If I'm an Aaron Jones owner, you're going to start him.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine he's going to have a good game.
I think that what was crazy about this matchup is the spread was 3, so Arizona -3. Devontae Adams got COVID, it went down to 6. That's how much of an impact that Devontae Adams has.
Has there been a player that had a
spread.
3-point swing like that?
That's the thing. I'd love to ask
That's
you
not a
guys
quarterback.
that question. Yeah, it's crazy how much of a difference one receiver can make. I'm going to move on. Sticking with receivers here, it looks like Jerry Jeudy is going to play this week. They've just announced.
Ooh, that makes it juicy.
I love that. I have Jeudy, I think, in 2 of my leagues. I've been waiting for him to come back. I have him in our league. I've been waiting for him to come back. I don't know whether I'm going to play him this week. The fantasy impact here, I think, is that this will impact Noah Fant. I think he's been playing really well recently, but I would be maybe a little bit on the more cautious side of things. Obviously, you're probably still playing him this week, but I would maybe temper your expectations, maybe expect a little bit less as they tried to put Judy back into, and Cortland Sutton as well. He's a guy who's really impressed in the absence of Judy. He's been a little bit up and down, but he's really impressed. I don't know whether I want to start him going forward, and if I was you, I'd maybe put him in a couple of trades this week with people who don't really know that Judy is on his way back, maybe.
I think the issue with Sutton is he's just going to get a majority of his points in garbage time. So, like, I feel like it causes a little bit of concern for the Broncos. I have Fant in one of my leagues, and he's going to hit the floor. Like, not like, it doesn't have a low floor. He's a tight end, and obviously we'll say this every week, thanks, Karlos. The tight end position is a fantasy wasteland.
Doing the Lord's work.
That said, I wouldn't bench Fant, because who else would you play?
Yeah. I think one other honourable mention will be Miles Sanders. Similar injury, it looked like, to David Montgomery. He's week to week. We were talking off air, me and Gil were talking about it. Is Kenneth Gainwell a big pickup? I know Gil said no. I personally think I think he could be worth. He has a very good matchup this week. He's playing Detroit, so I think you can plug him and play him. But I also think they're going to split it. It's going to be split. Jalen Hurts is going to get his. He's going to score 2 touchdowns on the ground each week. That's what it seems like he's doing. And they'll play Boston Scott as well. So it's difficult to say whether you will play Kenneth Gainwell this week.
Who do you want to go after?
I'm just going to go really quickly, more for real life than it is fantasy. Zach Wilson tearing his PCL.
Let's do.
Oh, he tore his PCL?
Yeah.
That's what it was? I thought it was a sprain.
So he's gonna be out for like 2 to 4 weeks. It's a sprain, but it looks like more of a tear considering the timeline. The reason why I brought it up is Joe Flacco is now a member of the Jets again. Does Joe Flacco
the prodigal son has
any
returned.
fantasy recommendations?
And they give up a 6th round pick for him, even though they had him last year.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that office is doing.
I will say, if you were a Corey Davis or a Jamison Crowder owner previously, you were never going to play him with Mike White playing. I think Flacco is at least capable of giving them the ball. We've seen that. Don't play Flacco, no way, as a fantasy QB. But he is going to have to pass the ball somewhere, and that's who I think he will pass it to. So, are they going to be fantasy relevant? I'm not sure. Flacco won't be, but I think that gives them a little bit of a better floor than Mike White.
This is just a move the Jets should have made even pre-injury.
Yeah.
Because God forbid Wilson gets hurt like he just did. You have no veteran presence, but really more for real life implications. Your whole season is predicated on whether or not Wilson's the guy. Are you going to be able to grow with him? What the foundation is going to be?
I want to stop you right there.
Yeah.
Why? I know this sounds a little egregious now, but why? It feels odd that there's some better quarterback options than Joe Flacco to me.
Oh yeah, Cam Newton's still.
I was going to say, why on earth didn't they not give Cam Newton a call?
They don't want to challenge Wilson to the point where it's going to be like a Carson Wentz situation, which it won't be because of the capital that you spent on him. But you saw how Wentz was easily frailed once Jalen Hurts came into the picture. They didn't want that, which I thought was silly because we all know Wilson's going to be the quarterback of the future at least for the next 3 years. You needed a veteran presence just for him to bounce things off. Like, hey, what did I do wrong in this play? What do you see in coverage that I'm not seeing? You can't talk to somebody who also is a rookie in Mike White. It's silly for the Jets.
I also have a question. If you're part of the Jets organization, aren't you terrified that Cam Newton just outperforms Wilson and therefore you cannot put him
I think
Cam's resume is what the Jets are scared of. Former MVP, went to the Super Bowl, all the accolades that came with it.
Flacco won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, but it's Flacco.
Like the Jets want to carry on being so terrible. Like they couldn't possibly try and win a couple of games under Newton. There's no way they'd want to do that, right?
You know what? The pick might be worth it.
We'll see.
So we'll see.
All right, guys, let's move on to this new segment, finally, called Draft Jealousy. This is where we decide, or we're looking into our previous drafts, and we're saying, oh, man, wish I drafted that guy over that guy. And let's start with you, Karlos. Who would you rather have had on your team?
Oh, man, I say this guy, I said him last week, but we didn't have an RSD card, so we'll just move on from there. Cooper Kupp, man. Cooper Kupp, overall wide receiver number 1. And I didn't even think he would be wide receiver 1 on his own team. I thought just Robert Woods was always the safe play, especially with Matt Stafford coming into the town. But, the Breakfast Club, certainly has proved fruitful. Through 7 games this season, Cooper Kupp already has 809 yards with 9 touchdowns. He is 40 points ahead of the next closest receiver in terms of fantasy production in Tyreek Hill. And Cooper Kupp has multiple touchdown games, more than anybody else that you probably would have spent a first, second round pick. Listen, you don't regret picking up Davante Adams. You don't regret picking up Tyreek Hill, but you do definitely regret not jumping on Cooper Kupp at where he was at his ADP, where you were probably getting him in the 5th, 6th round, and you're getting first round talent by far. I only have him in 1 league. I play in like 6. I regret not having him in the other 5.
You're 6 and 1 in that league as well.
Yep.
Now, question: now that you have Kupp and looking onward, do you think he's first round value next year?
That's tough because very rarely do you see receivers year to year. Davante Adams and Tyreek Hill to me are the exceptions more than a norm. Because look at DeAndre Hopkins. I'm sure some people even may have spent a first round pick on him this year. He's still valuable. But DeAndre Hopkins, to me, has played more like a high second round, maybe even a third round pick.
Right.
I don't know if I would spend a first round pick on Cooper Kupp, depending on how the running backs, like Dalvin Cook, how he finishes at the end of the season. Does McCaffrey come back and show that he's still healthy and put a strong end to the season? I don't know. I think there's too many running backs that you have to pick up in the first round that would warrant a Cooper Kupp probably going in second.
Yes.
I agree. Gil, who do you got?
I have a couple, and it's hard to really say which one's the honorable mention and which one isn't. I'll start, I guess, with this honorable mention. I kind of thought I had a decision, but I'll flip it up. Darrell Henderson of the Rams staying in LA. Jack gave me this nugget last week, and it changed this week because with my freaking luck. Until last week, there hasn't been a game that Darrell Henderson finished where he wasn't ranked outside of the top 20 in his position. Meaning, his floor is great. He's getting at least, 14, 15 attempts a game. He's hitting his floor is 50 yards. He can get a touchdown or two. He'll probably sneak into the end zone, given where they'll be in the red zone. I like it. I like where they offer. However, my jealousy lies with the Bengals' Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Oh, and did you just see what he did on Sunday?
He torched the Ravens. He burned them. He literally burned them. First off, he's leading the league in yards. We mentioned this before, how Jamar Chase was going to break a record that Randy Moss had, like most receiving yards through X amount of games, because remember they were playing the Lions. This time, he has the most receiving yards through 7 games in NFL history, in his first 7 games of his career. Are you kidding?
Yeah. It's that connection with his old quarterback, Joe Burrow from LSU.
That's
his lowest yardage is 54. His highest yardage was last week at 201 yards. He jumped, I think, from outside of the top 5 or somewhere around the top 5 into number 1 spot in receiving yards. Yeah. Not only does that happen, he's guaranteed targets every game. He's an immediate deep threat with Joe Burrow every time. He's currently ranked the wide receiver 3 overall.
Yeah, and he was also.
Wow.
I've got a list of a couple of players that were drafted ahead of him. Yeah.
Let's say this list: Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh, dud.
What a bad pick.
Dud.
Bust.
Yeah.
Odell Beckham Jr.
Oh, God.
On your waiver wire.
Can never stay healthy.
At this point, is he just Pepsi? Like, he's just a brand name. I don't think he's going to be a good player anymore.
No, he's flat soda. He's flat soda.
Yeah.
Everyone. And lastly, we're going to talk, maybe shed some light on this one, Robbie Anderson.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Womp, womp.
He is now droppable, by the way.
Yeah. And his ADP was 72 going into the season, so I couldn't agree more. That was one of the guys I had down as well. So thank you, Karlos. I'm going to get into my guy who I have nowhere because I did not believe in this guy at all. He is the running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Leonard Fournette. He is the RB10 on the season, believe it or not. And I think his overall ADP was 105 going into the season, which is just absolutely incredible. He put up a game-winning week last week, on a Thursday Night Football against the Eagles. He's absolutely. I've got a list of players that were drafted ahead of him. Nehammer Hines.
Yes, I'm glad you got that one right.
Zach Moss, Michael Carter. I mean, these guys obviously have performed pretty well, but like Leonard Fournette is an RB1, and he's someone who plug and play every week, and I have absolutely no shares of him because I strongly believed it was going to be him and Ronald Jones split in the backfield. and that didn't happen. And he is clear cut the RB1 there. Like, you could look at this week and you could look at the snap share, and Tampa were up so much they gave Ronald Jones the ball, and he was fine, and Fournette didn't.
Fournette still had his numbers.
He still had. That's the thing. He still has his game. Like, he. Also, guys, I don't know if you know this. Do you know how old Leonard Fournette is?
It's like 25, no?
He's 26 years old. Like, I think people think that he is washed.
No,
but he's done.
He got a really small window in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
So, like, what year did he get drafted?
2017.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
You know what it was? There was a lot of usage, and he had some wear and tear in LSU that scared a little bit of people off.
Yeah.
But I think
He was the 4th overall pick.
I think there's always a smidge of skepticism when you draft high on a running back in the actual NFL draft.
Yeah, he was 4th overall in 2017. So it was, but I think that's what people forget is that he's now on probably the most high-powered offense in the league now, and he's got the lead role. And he's just absolutely loving it. Brady trusts him. I think he's absolutely great. I've tried to chuck out a couple of trades for him because I am the trade king, although no one's accepting it in my trade, so I'm not really going to trade.
What?
But anyway, I have not got any shares, so I'm sad about that.
And the best thing about Fournette was you could have grabbed him in like the 9th, 10th round, like super
ADP
late.
105, man. Like, if you're in a 10-man league, that's around 11.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
you're getting
him
The
late
value at which you
for a
draft
good
this
guy.
man is ridiculously high.
And that's what we're looking at with draft jealousy. We're looking at, God, I wish I drafted that guy. And Leonard Fournette is one of those people.
the guy.
Let me tell you his playoff schedule. If you play in the finals or the semifinals and the finals, where it's a week 16, week 17 league,
Which he should be, by the way.
which you should be, because anybody who plays the last week of the playoffs, you're doing it all wrong.
You can even do 15, 16, 17.
I won't say any names, but
Hey, I didn't know. I didn't know.
Gil changed it.
I changed it.
Yeah, he changed it. It's okay.
Semifinals, Tampa Bay is going against Carolina.
Okay.
Carolina's going to be out of it at that point.
Yeah.
And then week 17 at the Jets.
Tough game.
Tom Brady loves playing against the Jets.
I still don't believe in Fournette. I've been bearish on him. I don't care. I'm stubborn. This is the one guy where I'll die on this hill.
Okay.
But that's going to be if you can get to the finals with Fournette, he just won your league.
Yeah. He's your RB2. If you have him in your RB2, that's great.
Yeah.
A guy that I'm looking at, and it's kind of expected, but I'm looking at someone that if you had like the 1st, 2nd, even 3rd pick overall in your draft, I don't know how you didn't grab Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has just been PPR proof and just a monster this season.
Don't you mean NFL quarterback Derrick Henry?
Quarterback who threw to the tight end on National Tight Ends Day on Sunday, which was amazing. But you gotta look at his numbers. He had three games with 3 touchdowns, and he's had over 100 yards in 5 of the 7 games.
I want to stop you right there because I want to tell you guys something really funny. So obviously I told this to everybody. I'm in a chaos league. So you get points per rush attempt and things like that. The game Derrick Henry I think hit north of 40 points. I think it was like 47 in standard PPR. He had 94 in that chaos league.
God. Yeah, it's absolutely incredible. Derrick Henry is putting up insane numbers.
Yeah, I want to go off on a tangent real quick because you mentioned National Tight Ends Day. Darren Waller really screwed a lot of people because of that injury.
And the tight end still scored.
And I was one of those guys. So I had to scramble. Do I pick up Foster Moreau, who wound up being the guy that scored in Waller's place, or do I trust myself to Tampa's offense and pick up O.J. Howard because Gronk was still hurt?
I hope you didn't pick up Howard.
Also C.J. I never get Uzomah from Cincinnati.
Uzomah.
He went off. And of course,
3 catches, though.
every tight end on National Tight End Day went off except for O.J. Howard, who was the guy I picked up. Now, I won my matchup. I won, barely. But good Lord. Oh, and it's more of I was so absolutely aggravated that I picked up the one tight end that had a bad game compared to everybody else.
The problem with that game, I was watching that game, Brady couldn't throw to him. And
the one target he had in the end zone, he overthrew him.
Oh my God.
I'm like, O.J. Howard is tall, but he's not 12 feet.
Oh my God.
There's a lot of streaming options at tight end this week. Mo Ali Cox played well.
Yeah,
I feel like Mo Ali Cox
going back onto a bye, so.
I feel like Mo Ali Cox at this point deserves to be rostered.
Yeah. I played him in one of my leagues and I needed 2.5 points, and I was pretty certain I wasn't going to get it because I was just like, it's typical. The weather's awful, but I did get it. I do want to say, Derrick Henry is going to break Eric Dickerson's record for rushing this year.
Oh no, it's going to happen.
If it doesn't happen this year, I don't think it's ever going to happen.
No, because how do you not do it with an extra game?
Yeah, he's on extra game, and he was 100 yards off last season, and he was on pace last week. I think I said this nugget last week. Before this week, obviously he didn't. I don't think he scored a rushing touchdown this week. He only had the passing one. I'd love to have seen the odds before the game for that. Yeah. But he was on pace for 27 touchdowns.
He was on pace for that and 2,000 yards.
Yeah, well, I mean, the record is 2,100.
Yeah.
So, and last year he was 2,027.
He might hit. I think he'll hit 2,200.
Yeah. I think he has a good chance.
They got to stop having Henry throw it then.
And also Karlos, I didn't know
he might have a 500 passing yard game.
I didn't know we were doing NFL therapy here. Yeah. With that Waller hot take here, but
freaking Waller.
All right, guys, let's go around the room again. But this time, guys that you wish you just didn't pick up, like those guys that just killing you right now. And we're gonna start over here with Jack on this side. What do you got?
All right, so he was mentioned earlier as one of the people that was drafted ahead of Jamar Chase, and I drafted him in a couple of leagues, and it was Robbie Anderson. He is currently the wide receiver 61 on the season.
Ugh.
And he's got to be droppable.
He was drafted, right? 100%. I dropped him after like 3 weeks because I knew what I was. He was drafted as 66th overall, and he's the 61st wide receiver. But he was drafted at 6. So Darnold looks awful since McCaffrey's gone. They were 3-0 since McCaffrey's gone. They're 0-4. The Panthers have fallen to absolute pieces, which is pretty terrible. And Robbie Anderson is a product of that. He's been absolutely awful, and I think he's absolutely not worth rostering. He's droppable. Just get rid of him. I drafted him everywhere, and I hate it. So.
And Anderson wasn't good even with McCaffrey there, but
no.
Let's move on. Gil, who do you got?
I'm on the verge of dropping this man. Miles Sanders.
Oh, you're gonna drop Miles Sanders.
He had 17 points his first game. Since then, 6.9, 8.5, 7.7, 10.10, which was his highest since week 1.
Yeah.
8.6 and 3.7, where he looked good and then inevitably got hurt. Are you kidding me?
All right, this is definitely turning into NFL therapy. But
he went from 74 yards week 1 with a 2-point conversion, and he has reception upside. 13 carries, 55 yards against San Francisco. 2 carries, 27 yards against Dallas. 7 carries, 13 yards against Kansas City. Against Kansas City, who can't stop a nosebleed.
Like, look what the Titans just did. I know the Titans are good, and they beat Buffalo.
Start everybody on the Giants this week because they're facing Kansas City. Whoever's healthy anyway.
And then, going on, they play the Panthers. 11 carries, 45 yards. Tampa Bay, 9 carries, 56 yards. He actually played well that game. You know what they still didn't do? Give him the ball. You want to know why? Because Nick Sirianni is a clown.
That's the problem. And we're also going to get into the fact, who do you want to pick up before
I don't touch
Scott? But that's going to be later in the show.
Aside from Jalen Hurts, I'm sorry, I'm going a little bit of tangent here. Aside from Jalen Hurts, I don't touch the Philadelphia offense, maybe Dallas Goedert.
Devontae Smith's also an honorable mention.
His target share is good, but for some reason, when the day comes that people need to start this man, he does nothing. Yeah. He does squat.
And you also have Jalen Hurts, like we were talking about before we started. Garbage time quarterback, always going to give you your points.
Garbage time king, Jalen Hurts.
What is he ranked top 5?
He's two. He's the 2,
right?
Yeah.
So he's someone that you could have grabbed late in your draft, and he's doing great for you as well. Karlos, what do you got for us?
I said this when we tried to do this last week. I'm sticking by this. It's sort of a hot take. I'd regret taking Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
I mean, if you had the first overall pick, you had absolutely. It's no laughing matter. You absolutely were forced and pigeonholed into taking McCaffrey. But let me look at his stat line from last year and what his stat line is right now. 3 games last year, 225 yards, 5 rushing touchdowns. Receiving, he did 149 with a TD. This year, 3 games, just like last year, 200 yards, only 1 touchdown through the ground. And receiving, he had 163 yards, no scores. Listen, when he stays on the field, he's healthy.
He's a beast.
I don't have any faith that Christian McCaffrey is going to stay healthy. Last year, I don't think he's going to stay healthy this year. I'm almost inclined to say, I'm almost believe it. If Carolina does not win another game before McCaffrey is eligible to come off of IR, I don't think McCaffrey comes back this season, and that's going to be a complete bust for people who took him first.
Yo, Chuba owners, stand up.
You know what? And he didn't look that great because Sam Darnold is looking. Sam Darnold has completely regressed. And I don't think P.J. Walker can take the job either. Does Carolina, this is going to be a kind of a tangent or a random throw-in. Does Carolina make the trade for Watson?
There's a lot of speculation about it right now.
He could go to Miami.
I don't think so. I think, in fairness, Matt Rule has absolutely defended Donald, and he keeps saying it's me. There comes a point where it's like
last week he finally threw him under. He benched him for Walker, and then he called him out the game before that. Yeah. And listen, the Giants defense is banged up. Jabril Peppers just went on IR.
He just tore his ACL.
So, and he has a sprained ankle at this point. Listen, the Giants are not world beaters at all. That defense has underperformed tremendously compared to last year. Mm-hmm. And Carolina can only get 3 points.
Yeah. I want to mention there are ghosts in MetLife Stadium. And only one person can see him, and his name is Sam Darnold.
Oh God!
This just proves it wasn't just the Jets.
Tis the season.
It's spooky season, and of course we're seeing ghosts.
You know what? I was going between these two while you guys were going. There's just a guy that I've just always hated from the beginning of the season, and Karlos agrees with me. It's Myles Gaskin.
Yep.
I mean, he's had two good games. He's had two, like the one against Tampa Bay and just last week against the Falcons. But sorry, Jack, that's the Falcons defense. But
outstanding.
I just had to throw that out there. But no, he's just someone that you grab thinking, oh, he's gonna be your running back too, and he's gonna perform like he did last year. Like he was so great when he got the ball. But just this year, it's just not working out. You got Malcolm Brown. They even put Ahmad in there sometimes.
Malcolm Brown's actually going to be out for a little while, it looks like.
And since he's out, Gaskin could do well. But it's just to the point where the guy ends up scoring you 0.2 points.
No, they'll sign someone off the street because Flores thinks he's the smartest guy.
You can't trust him. You know what's really interesting though when you look at it? Myles Gaskin is the RB 17 on the season. He's ahead of like players like Nick Chubb, who I know has missed 2 games.
I think it's just that one good game.
It's just that problem. Yeah.
I mean,
he's ahead of James Conner, Melvin Gordon. There's a couple of, but yeah, it is that one game.
Yeah. To be fair, like it's not like he had a stretch of bad games, but it's not like he hasn't stayed bad. Yeah. Because it's just you just chalk it up as inconsistent.
Yeah. He's just a guy that you can't rely on.
Yeah.
You know what it is? And then another honorable mention was Julio Jones because he had that one good game.
I told you.
He was just some glorified decoy.
I thought it was glorified decoy. A.J. Brown, I think that was finally his coming out party.
I think A.J. Brown's a top 5 wide receiver the rest of the season.
That's what it is.
I regret training him in one of my main leagues, but you
don't like that last week.
Yeah, but I got Kamara, so I think I'm okay.
That was a good.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I feel he's good. So.
Okay,
he's all right.
All right, guys. We're gonna go to break. We're gonna look at a couple of games from Week 8, and we got a nice little quick game for you. Stay tuned, guys.
Cue the mean guitar solo.
Welcome back, guys. Welcome back. We got a interesting Week 8 coming up. A couple of good matchups, a couple of bad matchups, but we're gonna dive right into it. Karlos, what matchups are you looking at?
So there's 2 games that intrigue me this weekend coming up. I really like the Buffalo and Miami game. If for fantasy purposes, that's obviously why we're here. I'm looking at, although I have Stephon Diggs in main leagues, I'm looking at Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders has gotten 75 yards in 3 of his last 4 games, and he's scored 4 times. I like the rapport that Josh Allen and Sanders has. I think Sanders could probably finish in the top 12 wide receiver rankings this week. Ooh. Just because Miami is absolutely dreadful. I think Buffalo's going to have their way with it.
And Dawson Knox is out, so the end zone target's just going to get split all over the place. Yeah,
could be a good game for Diggs too, but there's just something about Sanders that I like.
Oh yeah, no, he's doing what Cole Beasley was doing last year.
Yeah, and Cole Beasley, I didn't want any part of him this year, and I'm glad I'm not actually. I'm not touching that guy whatsoever.
I don't want to touch him either.
And here's a matchup I don't like, and this is going to surprise people because the Tampa Bay Bucks just completely shellacked the Chicago Bears defense, which is they're okay.
Was that a shock to you?
A bit, not because the Bears can't score, but because the Bears have an okay defense. It's not like they're dreadful. They're not the Kansas City Chiefs.
Well, yeah, because they ran the ball to a T. The problem is they don't have a secondary, and Brady just tore it up.
Yeah, no, Brady absolutely is on fire. He's another guy I didn't see coming to play like this. MVP caliber at 40,000 years old. He's Methuselah of football. He can.
He got his 600th touchdown ball back. Yo, let me talk about that. Was a hell of a deal that guy pulled off. He not.
He settled at first. You know, he was only going to get $1,000 in merch credit.
No, I thought he was guaranteed also.
It changed the terms, and I think it would have looked bad for Tampa PR.
For those that
everyone is so invested in what this.
And on top of that, on top of that,
if I would have called the ball, I'd be like, oh, here you go, because like an idiot, you don't think of it in the heat of the moment. So I don't blame the guy for getting whatever.
On top of that, he gets a Bitcoin, I think, from Tom Brady.
That's awesome.
Now that's value. That is actual value.
Yeah.
So what about the line in this game? The Bucks are -5.5. -5. Maybe.
See, this is what scares me because I don't know what New Orleans is going to bring to the table after that disaster against Seattle.
I think you've got to push that. I think you've.
Yeah, quite possibly.
Maybe it's just one you don't bet on, but
I think it's a game that I'm just going to fade overall.
If you have to, I'd take the Bucks at -5.
Because and divisional games are always tough.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't think New Orleans was going to be a great team this year, but you know, there's just something about Tampa Bay and New Orleans that scares me. But it's really more of the Buccaneers offense going against New Orleans defense. New Orleans has a very good defense. Yeah. You know, Brady, obviously, he leads the NFL with over 2,000 yards, 21 touchdowns, but he's going to face off against the Saints. They're only giving up 16.5 points a game. That's really, really good. Yeah. So you're going to start him, but I don't know if you're going to expect much from him.
Gil, what are you looking at?
I'm going to talk about two that are obviously, one of them is pretty obvious coming from me. Who else? But first off, the Giants and the Chiefs. I didn't expect to talk about this one. Chiefs are the 10-point favorite. Giants are going to cover. Not only will they cover.
It'll be a backdoor cover, watch.
Not only will they cover, I think they might win.
Oh, nice little hot take there.
Well, that was...
You can't call me a homer. I don't think the Giants are going to win.
No, because all right, given that Mahomes plays, even then, I don't know if he's going to be 100%. And that's a problem for the Chiefs. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The Chiefs can't defend a parked car.
No, they can't. No, you're absolutely right.
So you're gonna. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if Devontae Booker has a game. Daniel Jones might play the game of his life.
We have to have an honorable mention quickly here as well for Nick's hot take last week, which was not caught on the micro SD card, but he said that he thought the Lions were going to win the game against the Rams.
Wait, 3 quarters. They covered the spread.
It looked like they were.
It didn't look crazy.
It was a 15-point spread.
No, and I said Swift's going to have a great game.
He did. Okay, that I'll give him credit for.
And he was great.
Not only did they not win, but they did cover the line. I remember the Rams were favored by 15. Yeah, and it was a 9-point game.
At one point the Lions were up 19-17. I think it finished 28-19, but they were up late in the game, so that almost came through.
Have you guys ever seen a team that is winless play so hard than this Detroit Lions team with Dan Campbell?
Yeah.
I would run through a brick wall.
Yeah.
And so do they.
No helmet.
DeAndre Swift does that week in, week out.
He does.
And I like the fact that Jared Goff actually played a decent game after he was called out by the head coach in the last game. Like, he did what he had to do. Swift played the game that he had to do.
They acted like professionals, which is what they're paid to do.
So. Raymond had over 100 yards receiving in that game. So
he might be someone you might want to start this week, too.
He's someone I grabbed last week thinking they're going to be behind, so they're going to have to throw the ball. And he ended up scoring around 17 points for me. For a guy on a bye that or even hurt like Antonio Brown last week. So
all right,
he's someone you could fill.
So the next game I want to talk about, I was pretty mad. Obviously, I'm not doing great with Chargers games apparently, a la the Ravens Chargers game being an absolute
how'd that work out?
Kick out, but you know what I mean. The Chargers and the Patriots, and it's not for the reason that you'd think. I think Mac Jones might actually have a decent game.
Okay, because he faced the Jets and puts up 54
points
doesn't mean he's going to do good against the Chargers.
Ever since that game against Tampa, it's been he flipped the switch. And not only did he flip the switch, Hunter Henry flipped the switch. I think this is the game that
Four consecutive games.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think the Chargers win, obviously. I think they're just obviously the better team.
Where's the game?
I think the game is
It's at SoFi.
It's at SoFi? Yeah, it is at SoFi.
Yeah, Chargers win.
Chargers win, regardless. They don't even have fans in their own stadium.
I think they have to.
If it was in New England, I don't know.
I have a question. Has Mac Jones been the most impressive rookie QB so far?
Yes. Every other QB has fallen. Every other QB has underwhelmed supremely.
I think
this was going to happen, wouldn't it? It's like Mac Jones folds, and then he folds, and then he folds, and he gets pick 15 in the NFL draft.
Mac Jones was in the best situation.
Exactly.
Of all the
That's
quarterbacks
true.
I got
That's
picked.
true.
No, obviously I only say that because every other quarterback, Justin Fields, Zach Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, are in terrible, terrible situations.
Trey Lance is in a good situation, but he's not been starting. He's been starting.
Yeah, you could argue that, and also he just got hurt.
Yeah, he did get
Zach
hurt.
Wilson just got hurt, but until then he wasn't playing that well.
No.
A quick tangent. I want to go back to a segment we did before we went on a break. Brandon Ayuk.
Drop him.
That was someone that we should have definitely talked about. Someone you don't grab.
Do you possibly hold him for just another week to see if maybe he gets traded?
No.
What happened?
No,
Did he do someone's wife?
If you hold Ayuk, if you hold Ayuk on the plans that he might get traded in the NFL, then you'd hold Odell Beckham also.
Yeah.
I can't see that.
Now, Brandon Ayuk is droppable. I don't think they trade him.
I
they drafted him in the
him.
first round last year, but I think you have to drop him.
No, absolutely.
Simple.
But I think the Chargers game is going to be fun. This could be the makings of just a good quarterback versus quarterback game.
Yeah.
I think the Chargers get what they want, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Patriots hold up because again, we saw what they did against the Cowboys.
Yeah.
That was shocking.
I see a big game from Allen. They're going to be double covering Mike Williams and
I think
looking at Eckler.
I see Keenan Allen, Jared Cook maybe gets a score, and Eckler gets one, just punches one through.
I just won, yeah.
Yeah.
Jack, what are you looking at?
I've got the Cleveland Browns and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I'm just going to talk about this game here. Nick Chubb's going to be back. I think this is going to be a good game because I think both offenses are going to score points. I know on paper people probably think it's going to be a bit of a slugfest. It's going to be a bit of a ground and pound. Najee will run the ball. Nick Chubb. I think Dearness Johnson has earned himself a role after an awesome game this week.
What about the metric system Felton?
The metric system Felton.
He looked good too with a couple of receptions there.
We need a list. We need a list of names for the end of the season. I just want Nick to go through them.
Please read them off. First name, Laviska Shenault.
He'll get that one to a T. All right, next up, Nyheim Hines.
Nyheim Hines, baby.
I think Dearness Johnson is going to. I think he's carved out a role that's similar to what Kareem Hunt has.
Yeah.
Right. I don't think he's going to put up in the 20s when Chubb is back, but I can see him having a safe floor at maybe 10 because they're not going to just come back and just give Nick Chubb a full workload. They're not going to just give him 90% of the snaps. Dearness Johnson has earned himself a role, and they're going to try and watch Nick Chubb's health. This is their star guy. They're not just going to. And on the Pittsburgh side of the ball, I love Deontay Johnson. I love Chase Claypool again.
Najee Harris.
I think these guys can all have a good game. And I think it's going to be a good. Now on Cleveland's side of the ball, I know I just talked about the running game. The passing game, I have no idea because
what's going to happen?
Baker's not playing, is he?
No.
Baker's.
Yeah.
I doubt.
I don't
Baker
think
plays.
he comes back this year.
I hate OBJ personally, and if he hadn't been if you looked at just the numbers the last 3 years, people wouldn't own him right now. They wouldn't. He wouldn't be owned. He'd be on the back of people's rosters.
Again, he's just a brand name.
Exactly. And Jarvis Landry, I know he came up limp the other day as well.
I think Landry's cooked. I don't see any value.
I think the Browns, just from the top to the bottom, are limping.
Yeah, they're struggling. They were a big letdown this year. So I like the matchup. I think the Pittsburgh, they're 3.5 underdogs. I think Pittsburgh wins the game, personally. I know they've not been great, but I think Pittsburgh wins the game. So that's a matchup I like this week.
Very much so, yeah.
I'm also going to throw in the fact that I had a couple of receivers on bye last week, and Jones, what was it, Peoples-Jones?
Donovan Peoples-Jones.
Donovan Peoples-Jones.
When I texted you, did I say
Pope?
I think I said Pope. I said Pope to you guys.
The Holy One, Donovan.
I'm going to say it for Jack. Jack prides himself with knowing names like this.
So he had no idea what I was talking about.
Who the hell were you talking about?
Nick's like, oh no, I played Pope and he didn't play. I was like, well, no wonder he didn't play. He's not even on the roster. Who is this guy that you're talking about, Pope? And then you were like, oh, Peoples-Jones. I'm like, oh, it's so close. Of course, I should have known. Pope, Peoples-Jones.
I was like, I'm the worst player ever.
Oh my God, that was so funny.
It was a late pickup, and I'm like, oh, he had 2 decent games before that, and then. What is he hurt his hamstring during warm-ups and he doesn't play the game and I left him in my roster? It was
that was announced 5 minutes before. You wouldn't even be able to make a change.
If you blink and the game starts, it's over. He's gonna put up a 0 for you.
Yeah,
but that's also my fault for grabbing him.
True.
And
Pope, I'll have you.
Pope, I like
Bless
that.
my team.
I'm a Christian man.
All right, and finally on the Week 8 overviews, guys, let's look at a game that looked good on paper until recent news coming out of Green Bay. Cardinals-Packers, Thursday night game. It was set up to be amazing, and then we get news that Adams has COVID. Even Alan Lazard might be on there. MVS, Marquez Valdez-Scantling, might be in trouble with an injury. So the offense is hurt right now, and the Cardinals are already favored to win that game. It's something that I'm also looking at to see if Adams can get 2 negative tests before the game, so he can
with
play.
With their luck,
I hope he does.
I hope he does.
right, I'm
but with
hoping
their
that too.
luck, this all happens.
Please don't.
With their luck, this happens on a short week.
Well,
Who's facing him this week?
I'm facing him.
well, I'm hoping that it does just for a nice, decent game. But if no receivers are available, you're grabbing someone like Cobb if you need a fill-in for a couple of buys.
I'm not watching a game. I'm
Like
watch
he
dinner.
he could score a touchdown for you because they're going to be behind. Like Karlos was saying this before, Aaron Jones might have a pitiful game.
I think so. Yeah.
But Rodgers might have to get out of the pocket a lot and run for a couple of first downs.
I think I
just
prefer
in order
Robert
to stay in the
Tonyan.
game.
I
Robert
do.
Tonyan just caught a touchdown on Titans Day also last
Yeah.
week, so he could be decent in the offense as well. And finally, let's wrap it up here. We got a nice little quick Week 8 game. Spooky edition.
Woo!
Guys, I'm going to give you 2 guys, a little running back committee edition. We got Antonio Gibson or J.D. McKissick
Oh my God.
going forward.
J.D. McKissick.
Ooh.
No.
I agree. J.D. McKissick.
No.
Antonio Gibson
I
is
gotta hear
not 100%. He's playing
They
like
just
he's not.
reported that he's been playing with a shin fracture.
Right. Why? He hasn't played well.
Washington hasn't played well, and you know what?
The entirety of the team.
Gibson is
The run game is a mess.
He's a running back that is valuable when game script favors him, and Washington has been down too many times this year that I think that Gibson.
the only beneficiaries of that offense right now.
Terry McLaurin.
Terry McLaurin.
Lauren.
McLaren, the car. Yes.
McLaren.
Yes.
What is
when
he?
hel-
He's an Autobot.
And when he's healthy, Logan Thomas. When he's also healthy, Curtis Samuel. The run game is a mess.
You like Curtis Samuel, huh?
I don't. If he's healthy,
I dropped him immediately.
drop him now. But
Yeah.
if when at full force, you play him. I think.
I'm gonna say Gibson here, and at the end of the day, like you drafted him in the second round, probably.
Thinking running back 2.
Yeah, and I know he's not absolutely set the world on fire, and again, this is something we talked about last week, so I found myself repeating myself. I've had a shin stress fracture. The only thing that's going to heal it is rest. So they need to give him some time off if they want him to play. The rest of the season, though, I would prefer to have him if I'm a team that is in a strong position. If I'm 4-3, 5-2, 6-1, 7, I would rather have him because I'd rather have him at the end of the year if they do give him some rest. But I don't think Washington are using him correctly. They're not using Gibson correctly. They said he was going to have a McCaffrey-like worklook.
And
It was complete
doesn't look
bollocks.
like it,
It was bollocks.
Wait,
So-
you don't believe something that came out of Washington?
I don't know. So anyway, yeah. So I still prefer Gibson, but maybe I shouldn't buy too much into where players were drafted. But.
Yeah, it's cool. Nobody's perfect.
Very quickly, I actually just played McKissick over Gibson. And McKissick put up a point difference, point something difference, but I still was not in favor of Gibson because I thought they were going to be behind, and J.D. McKissick was the pass catching back.
Yep.
That's exactly why you play
So
him,
that's
because
why
he's
I
just
played
been
him.
catching passes. Everyone thought
Yeah.
Gibson was going to be the guy to
everything.
do it all, right? But
Yeah.
nope, that didn't happen.
All right, let's look at a couple other guys here. We got Melvin Gordon or Javonte Williams.
I just love that's a great sound effect. Javonte Williams.
Really?
Yeah, same.
As the season progresses, it's just going to slowly.
It's looking like it's more.
It's tilting
going
from
towards him.
50-50 to 51-49 to 52-48.
Especially with Gordon being questionable every week again. Like, it's nothing
It's
new
a contract
with
year
Gordon.
for Gordon, and I
Yeah.
don't expect them to give him the ball a lot.
Yeah.
Make it a clean sweep for him.
And
I
he
got
got Javonte Williams got a touchdown last week against the Browns.
so did
Gordon. But Javonte Williams
Yeah.
caught a touchdown
Yeah.
near the goal line.
And it was
prefer
impressive
Javonte.
too.
It was
He
a- it was a
died for the
nice- it was a
pylon.
nice play.
It was a good play
Yeah.
for him.
What's impressive is how Fangio has used these guys in almost an identical 50-50 split.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
he gives them. So
They're alternating series.
It's like
I've never
it's
seen
like it
that.
counts how many snaps
No,
each one gets.
Zeke and
or,
Pollard used to do that
or the
last
amount of
year, too.
attempts.
It's interesting to see how he's used. I do think that the reason I prefer Javonte is Gordon is less durable. He's getting a little bit older. He's durable. They drafted Javonte. They want him to be he's the future. So I think as like we all said this, right? As the season goes on, Javonte will take maybe more of the snaps. That hasn't really happened yet, but I can see it happening towards the end of the season as Denver's season starts to just kind of
It's
peter away.
It's week 8. Like, what are you waiting for at this point?
After a 3-0 start, and now you're losing to everyone. It kind of hurts the Broncos here. Let's look at a couple of other guys here. This might be an interesting one after last week. It might have been just the fact that they played the Jets, but Damian Harris or Bolden?
Damon Harris.
Yeah.
Damon Harris.
I'm gonna go. What was it? I think last week we had Ramondre Stevenson.
I had Stevenson,
and I was
there.
just like Stevenson all in, and he was a healthy scratch. So I'm gonna go Harris.
That's why I had to put in Bolden, because Bolden had 2 touchdowns last week. I don't know.
Yeah,
It was
but
just
that's
the game
all
script.
game script.
Yeah, that's what it
and
was.
JJ Taylor.
I was gonna say Taylor too. What's up with him?
Scored a
Yeah.
touchdown. So no, Damian Harris is the lead guy here. They love Damian Harris in New England. I think he's going to be awesome going forward.
Stop fumbling. That's what Bill wanted.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill still showed a lot of faith in him, regardless.
Think about how big this game could have been for Damian Harris had they not put in like Bolden and JJ Taylor.
Yeah.
Like,
He still had a good game, though.
Yeah, but he had 25 fantasy points, but he could have had 50. Like if those
He could have put up like Kamara numbers with 6
The
touchdowns.
game script was so positive that they just couldn't keep Damian Harris on the field.
Yeah. So I'd take Damian Harris.
Don't
for
risk
sure.
your starter.
for sure.
Don't throw him in there when you're already up by so much.
Don't play your starters.
Are you only doing players that are on the same team here?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
A couple of running back committee guys.
All right.
With a little thing at the end.
Little twickery.
Trickery. This one's actually a little interesting, guys. Who would you rather pick up and start?
I thought you played this after.
I don't know anymore.
Yeah, you're doing your thing, Cole. Let's do your thing.
Nah, he's having a blast. All right, let's hear it.
Kenneth Gainwell or Boston Scott?
Neither.
Kenneth Gainwell.
Neither.
After the
I'll
Miles
go
Sanders
Gainwell.
injury,
I'll go
one of the two, if not both, are going to be
Y'all heard me.
I'm gonna-
Y'all heard me mouth off about Miles Sanders earlier.
I'm gonna jump into this.
Maybe
one.
he just doesn't like
Neither.
Sanders.
Gainwell was already biting into what Boston Scott's role was going to be as the change of pace, pass catching back. I don't like Boston Scott at all. I'm gonna go Gainwell.
I have to say Gainwell just because I need to say somebody, but I don't like either because they're not going to. They don't rely on running backs. Period.
I feel that. And, you know, I said this last week with our episode that doesn't exist anymore. Philadelphia's season is just about seeing if Jalen Hurts is the guy. They're gonna throw it. They're gonna throw him until his arm falls off.
No, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like if he. He's going to rather throw a pick than give it to the running back.
Yeah.
Like it's that annoying. And if anybody that has Miles Sanders or is going to pick up Gainwell or Boston Scott, I advise you no.
Well, the Eagles are also facing the Lions this week. So if you're looking for a guy,
I don't care how
to fill
positive
in,
that game script is. It's not. They're not giving it to the running backs.
it could be interesting play if one of the two.
I got the Lions winning.
I also like the Lions
casually throw
winning.
it in there.
I like the Lions winning. To see how if they played that hard against the Rams and they do that against the Eagles, who have a much worse team,
But we say that
they're
now,
going to win that game.
and they're going to get blown out by 30 points.
No, you're
against
only
the
saying that
Eagles.
because you were dead wrong last week. No,
I was not dead wrong. I was close for 3 quarters. that was an interesting
Well,
hot
the
take.
game's 4 though, isn't it? You know?
It's all right though. Finally, now we got some wide receivers on the same team. Mike Evans or Chris Godwin. I know last week it looked like, after last week what Mike Evans did, it's looking like it's the Mike Evans show when Antonio Brown's out. But Chris Godwin still scored a touchdown and still had a pretty decent game.
I prefer Godwin. I do.
And you still do.
And the reason for that is the safer floor.
Yeah.
I think Godwin is always going to get over 6 or 7 targets. He's always going to get that, and I think I just prefer that rest of season. Mike Evans is one. I think Mike Evans is a sell high. I think you can go and get you could chuck Mike Evans in a trade and possibly get someone like Justin Jefferson coming off bye or something like that. You know,
I think that'd be a great.
maybe
yeah.
plus maybe throw in another piece as well. But I think like Chris Godwin is the guy there who is there for the future, and I just think that he is the wide receiver 1 on that team, regardless of like the fact that Mike Evans can have these big games. I think Godwin is more consistent.
And Mike Evans will either boom or bust most of the
Yep.
time. He will either score 40 points for you or throw up a 5.
I had to think about it, but I got to agree with
Godwin.
Godwin because I just think he'll have the floor.
Yeah.
Evans, like you guys said, boomer bust, big Tyler Lockett energy, and I just don't like. He had a fantastic game.
When does Antonio Brown come back?
I think he comes back this week.
They're saying that he might be able to come back, but if he doesn't, then he'll definitely
I
be
doubt
ready for
it.
the next
You know
week.
what?
The reason I doubt it is Tampa Bay have a bye in week 9.
Yeah,
That's why
just,
I doubt
that
it.
makes sense
Just hold
to
him out,
count
keep
him.
him
Same with
rested.
Gronk.
Yeah.
Same with Gronk.
Yeah.
So I think last week I agree with you guys. I went Godwin. I think just for this week, I will take Evans. I'll take Evans, ride him out one more time, see if I can get that touchdowns because you know it's going to come to somebody. There's no Gronk, there's no Brown. Godwin will have the higher floor, But I like Evans for the potential in this match.
think
Even though I didn't like them going against.
I will say Mike Evans does not do well against Marshall and Lattimore. They play against each other regularly, and there's been some hilarious matchups between them.
Lattimore and DK going off against each other.
Yeah,
that was physically a fight with helmets.
But he put him on his
Winston.
arse for that 84-yard touchdown.
Winston going against his old team and Mike Evans on the other side. It's going to be interesting.
I think Mike Evans kind of gets a little bit shut down this week, and I think Godwin does the better week. So we'll see.
And on that last sound effect by Karlos over here, that's going to conclude this podcast. For Karlos, Gil, Jack, myself, Nick here. Thanks for listening, guys, and have a good Halloween. Hope you guys enjoy more than Jack and Karlos do over here.
Throw them fours up, bring them guitars back, stay spooky.
And take your Thursday players out your flex position.